our first presenter is Intern Housing Hub. And as I was looking at the company, because is it a division of Unique Venues? Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So what I was looking at, I just thought this was an interesting factoid, that nearly 65,000 interns relocate throughout America every year. You think about it, like the whole city kind of just moves around every year, of interns. And so Corey Salem, who you see here, is Director of Sales and Client, and he's going to share summer housing revenue generation with Intern Housing Hub. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Corey.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It sounds like ACCED-I has a lot of awesome stuff coming up, and it's a great organization for us to be a part of. I'm at the tail end of my 8-day trip for different conferences that I'm at. I'm currently in Toronto, Ontario. So if you were wondering, like, wow, that backdrop looks like a hotel room, it's because it is. And with that maybe comes some glitchy Wi-Fi, but everything seems to be going well right now. I'm really excited to be here and talk about Intern Housing Hub. It's a product of Unique Venues. You might know Unique Venues, be more familiar with that brand name. And this was something that was launched in January 2020. And I've been getting a lot of questions about it. And we thought this was a great opportunity to get this in front of some folks that might be interested in learning more about it or taking advantage of the services that we offer. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen and walking you through a little bit about who we are, how we help, and I'm also then going to demo our website just so you can see what that is like and what the user engagement looks like for interns, parents, or anyone that's looking for that summer housing accommodation. So again, thank you so much for joining, and I'm happy to answer any questions as they come up as well. So please don't hesitate to ask. I first want to just give everyone a little bit of a background on this product itself. So this was something that was brought to our attention in 2015. And Unique Venues, again, the brand that's perhaps most familiar with this audience, is a sales, marketing, and event lead generation platform at our core for the colleges and universities that we work with. We help source and share great business opportunities for your summer, or if you have year-round availability, conference and events programs. The revenue generating resource for the folks that we work with. And one of our clients said, well, you do a great job finding, these groups, but have you ever thought about the individual guests, these interns? And we said, that's a great idea. And that's not something we've really thought about. So we really started to get our gears turning in 2015 as to what this might look like. And in the meantime, before we launched officially internhousinghub.com, we served as a consultant and kind of a digital marketing expert to help some clients and venues and colleges, universities capitalize on things between the ideation phase and bringing it to life. So we'd help folks create a landing page or a form that someone might, submit, because one thing we've learned is that colleges, universities might not have the resources or the support from their marketing teams to really develop a full site with this relevant information and lead capture forms for the people and interns who might be interested in relocating to your campus for the summer. We launched the site officially in January of 2020 with 7 legacy clients, so those properties that we had provided the consultative support to, and 5 new clients. And incredibly, with the pandemic, we were able to sustain and really grow over the last 2 years in particular, where right now we're working with 57 properties in 36 United States and Canadian markets. Cindy had mentioned this, but this is just quite staggering to me. And this is a little bit of kind of the why we went down this route. 65,000 interns are relocating throughout North America on an annual basis in the summer. Of course, that could be concentrated in some of the major cities. I think of the cities that we have properties in that are really popular, like Washington, D.C., Boston, Chicago. But I'll just use this as an example. Though we don't have a property here. I grew up in a small town in Western Pennsylvania called Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And though it might not be Pittsburgh, which was the closest city nearby, or DC, it has an industry. There's a lot of government contractors there. There's huge healthcare facilities. And these are industries that are competitive in hiring collegiate talent that's looking for work and academic experience, but also turning that into a career after graduation. And when those interns are needing to move to Johnstown in this case, there's not a lot of options. And that's where we really kind of wanted to fit in. So we have a rich history in working with colleges and universities. We started as a company in 1986, primarily with colleges and universities. And with that, we feel like we've got the advantage in knowing the needs of a college and university, the professionals, what they're looking for, and how we can help. Out of the gate, I'll just share that Intern Housing Hub is not a booking platform. It is a directory listing site of affordable and capable college and university properties that open their residence halls to these individual guests each year to generate revenue, but also to provide a service that's tied to an academic engagement for those students. So there's a student service aspect to this as well. And whenever we first entered this, we found that there were, I think, like 3 main competitors, or places that without Intern Housing Hub, these interns might be looking at housing through. It could be corporate housing, it could be an extended stay hotel, or it could be Craigslist. And in the case of Craigslist, if the property isn't less reliable, let's say, then it's expensive in the case of extended stay hotel. And if it's not expensive, maybe it lacks engagement in amenities that might be, more relatable to corporate housing. And we believe that campuses truly have it all. And, whether you're joining this presentation today to learn more about maybe launching a program like this on your campus, which we certainly can help, or maximizing your potential, then, and I think I'm on the wrong slide, sorry, maximizing your potential, then we can certainly help with that as well. Because we think that these campuses are the perfect environments for these relocating guests. Typically, compared to those other resources, campuses can provide great amenity and housing opportunity at a lower cost. There's a safeness and a reliability tied to a campus that might not be tied to those other types of housing opportunities. And I think one of the most important things is that there's tons of amenities on campus that maybe you have access to in the summer that you can include in these overnight stays. And I just am a huge believer in not only our platform, but also the collegiate industry's ability to be a service provider in this field. I'll get into some stats a little bit later into the presentation about our impact, so to speak, but I wanted to just introduce you to the users of our site and of our platform. And this is all statistics that we pulled from internhousinghub.com as we review the inquiries that come through our site, as well as user statistics that we were able to pull from Google Analytics. So in the top left corner, you can see the age distribution of our users, 18 to 24, that typical age for those interns. And that's one thing I'll mention. Though you might have a summer conference program that provides space, rentals, and overnight accommodations to minors, most of the venues, if not all of the properties that we work with, require these guests to be 18 years of age or older, just from a liability standpoint of having an adult on campus in this capacity. But if you look at the rest of the distribution of the age, you'll see that 25 to 34, that could also be an intern age, but that could also start to be a friend, a colleague, an academic advisor that's helping the interns find housing and availability. And then the remaining portions, I really attribute that to campus recruiters, the people who's hiring the interns, and a huge portion of this being parents that are helping their parents or guardians, helping their child or whoever they're responsible for to find housing, because oftentimes that group does have a financial say or at least a financial commitment to this type of housing. In terms of the gender breakdown, 53% female, 47% male. I think what's most important and interesting to point out is where these applicants are kind of most represented. 92% of the inquiries that are coming through our site are for individual guests, and 8% are for group housing bookings. And just to break that down for you, these individual guests are unique and distinct opportunities each year. This is not someone who might come back for an internship the next year. Typically, these individual guests are a one-time guest having an opportunity or an engagement in the city that they're going to and needing a place to stay. But this 8% of group housing bookings are typically managed by a company or, again, an academic advisor who have a certain number of interns that they might be responsible for or hiring every year, that if they can find somewhere that could provide maybe a 5-year agreement and then reevaluate, that's a renewable piece of business for you all. So we're really kind of sliding into this industry to provide you with the entry point for those individual guest opportunities. But again, when you see the numbers with the number of applicants or inquiries that we're sending through, that 8% still makes up a really large group of folks that are using our site to find housing. Doesn't look like there's any questions, so I'll just keep on going on here. And I want to talk a little bit now about the cycle of summer intern housing. So this top graph is from a site called Google Trends. It's really great. You can type in a search term or two and compare the demand or the number of searches that are happening at a certain period of time. And I wanted to show you a 5-year snapshot of the demand or the number of times that intern housing is being searched on Google. And you can see on the left, that first peak is 2018, the next peak is 2019, then we get into 2020 and 2021, and then the last two are 22 and 23. Typically, an annual search and booking season, I define it as beginning on November 1st and then ending May 31st. Now, we do work with some campuses that are on a trimester basis or quarter basis, and they find value in that because sometimes an intern needs to stay past August 3rd, and some of the traditional semester campuses can't really accommodate that. So there's a winning proposition for all types of campuses that might have availability in the summer for this. But even though it starts on November 1st and ends on May 31st, that peak period is really like the middle of March through the middle of May, with that first or second week of April being the busiest. Now, the last few years have been a little bit disjointed or not following a standard pattern, but this year really did kind of follow a pattern that I would be, it's more reflective of this industry and opportunity. So you can see last year, the peak demand was in May, or in terms of searches, and then this past year it was April, and that's what we are expecting. And I know that it's November 7th, and I don't want anyone to think, well, I want to do this, but he said November 1st, so do I need to start thinking about this for summer 2025? No. If you are interested in this product or exploring these options, I would really tell you that January 15th would probably be the latest that I would encourage someone to get a site up and running or tapping into our services, just because at that point, there's a ton of demand already coming in that you could have possibly missed. And I just think that for the most bang for your buck for summer 2024, that middle of January period is going to give you a really good chance to kind of slide in early and sell out early. This period right now, this early November through the end of this calendar year, is really for the interns that are in the most competitive fields and maybe seen as the best interns or students for these academic opportunities, because they are sourced and interviewed very early. But again, most of this is happening in the late winter, early spring period. As things stand, and we're looking at data from right now, we're surpassing the metrics for the first week of November last year, which is a great indication for what summer 2024 might look like. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing this PowerPoint, and I am going to get back to it, but I wanted to give you just an introduction to the site, and maybe, considering this is demo day, just demo how the site works and what you could expect your engagement might be like as a client of Intern Housing Hub with a listing for these inquiries being generated. So give me just one moment. And here we are on the homepage of internhousinghub.com. And I just want to show this, even though it's not necessarily the point where guests come to on our site. The homepage is the homepage. Every website has a homepage, but most of the entry points for our site are for a Metro landing page based on its organic positioning on Google or an ad that we're running, or specifically landing to a profile page itself. So our homepage is really, and the site itself is geared towards those interns. So providing content, education, information to let them know what our site is all about and how we can help make their relocation efforts easier. I'm going to go, though, to the Chicago landing page. Chicago is one of our metro areas that we've grown over the last few months. And I wanted to demo a really well-built profile, but I also wanted to show you what a landing page looks like. So again, maybe the first point of contact that a user is having whenever they come to a site. I'm going to take a sip of water just really quickly. Okay, so we built these mini maps in to show pin markers where our clients are in a metro area. And I think that's one thing to think about too, as you're considering or looking at the site and our users, is that most of the inquiries coming through are from individuals who are truly relocating somewhere that they are not currently based out of. I very rarely see people applying for housing in the city that their current institution is based in. So part of your job through our platform is to help educate those users where your location is in relation to maybe points of interest throughout the city, or big companies that are hiring a lot of interns every summer, just to give people an idea situationally of, oh, okay, Chicago's a big place. Where specifically in Chicago are you? Below that then is when we start to get into the listings of the properties that we have in those metro areas. So we work with the University of Illinois, Chicago. We work with DePaul and Loyola University, Chicago. And we're pulling some of the information that you're currently seeing from the profile page itself. And then we've got links directly to the opportunity for a user to request info directly from the landing page, or to view details, which would get and take that user to the profile page. So purchasing a listing and tapping into these inquiries comes with the profile. I'll show you Loyola's. And I get this question a lot, so I'll just address this early. As a client, this is your biggest lift, really, when it comes to taking advantage of Intern Housing Hub. It's the effort and work that goes into building your profile page. It's not necessarily something that you set and forget. And I only say that because should you renew and continue for, now, let's say if we're talking about summer 2025, which that's crazy to even utter, but let's say you sign on and renew, then it is your obligation to come back and log into the site to update that information on here with your dates for summer 2025, maybe updated pricing. If you're bringing more residence halls online or switching some things out, that would be something that you would be doing. So when you sign on, 90% of your work happens within the first week. We like to kind of get things up and moving pretty quickly. And then 10% of that work happens next year when you have to go back in and re-update that information. And that, pie chart of 90-10 does not include the work that you do to engage with the individuals who are reaching out for more information about your summer housing program. So on the profile page, it starts with a slideshow of images. I think that we have space for 30 images, and we like to encourage clients to upload images of the campus, residence hall spaces, maybe that iconic shot of your campus. I'm sure you have one. In Loyola's case, I think they've uploaded probably, anywhere between 5 and 10, which is totally fine because there's opportunities for you to include more images throughout the rest of your profile page. Up here then is another mini map. I can zoom out and see where specifically, Loyola University is in the greater Chicago area. And then you've got your about section, and this is your primary selling point. This is your opportunity to capture someone's attention and convince them why your campus is going to be their best place to stay for their summer internship. Below that, we have a list of, in the back end of who can stay on campus. Is it interns, researchers, co-ops, traveling nurses? And this just helps, again, the users better understand, would I be able to stay here? I know I'm not technically an intern. Maybe I need a place to stay for my medical rotation. And I see, traveling nurses. Maybe I'll reach out to researchers and see if that's something that I can accommodate or can accommodate me. But most of our site users fall into the internship bucket or researchers. And then again, we really lean into heavily this concept of these people don't know too much about the city that they're going to. Every campus is different. Let's let them know what they can take advantage of. So we've got nearby transportation options listed as well. Intern housing availability. This is maybe the most important part of your profile page because this, I think, is the key data point that an intern is considering when they're looking at multiple options. Can they accommodate my move-in and checkout date? That's really kind of the big question here. And most of our clients do have a similar availability period, sometime around Memorial Day through the beginning of August. Typically, an internship or inquiry that comes to our site falls between an 8 to 10 week period. Below that, then, is your opportunity to share information about your housing options. So there's a general descriptor that you can put information into. But really, I think what's a huge benefit is that you get to build out a little section on this site for each of the unique residence halls or room types that you have as part of your summer housing inventory that you're selling. You can include an image. Some people include a floor plan if it's a room, a description of the building, and all of this is HTML, so you can link out to different web pages. In the case of Loyola University Chicago, they've linked out to 360 tours or kind of like virtual tours of the space. And then they can also link out to and highlight the amenities. It's really up to you then what else you want to include here. I mean, there's no requirements in this part of the profile, but a lot of our clients will put in their rates, for instance, their minimum or maximum lengths of stay, and so on. And then there's, again, some check boxes on the end. So when someone fills out the form and you've got multiple options, I always encourage our clients to make sure they ask, hey, which housing accommodation were you most interested in? Especially if it's later in the search season where your availability might be more limited than, say, again, in January. And then you also can list your on-site amenities. Because these folks are relocating, important things might be furniture, access to linens. It might be dining and meal plans, if that's something that you're able to incorporate, especially if the rooms that you don't have include a kitchen or a kitchenette even. And then some other things like, we work with clients that will almost put together, what's the right word? Like residence life programming where they do, ice cream socials, because it's another great opportunity to help these interns network with other interns who might be staying on your campus, whether they're at the same company or a different company. Maybe you can, if there's a baseball team in your area, find discount tickets that your interns can purchase and tap into. So your opportunity is really here now to get them excited about staying on your campus, what might be included and how they can really maximize their time there. Again, things to do around specifically your point on campus. And then some important things at the bottom, payment methods and requirements. I talked a little bit about that being over the age of 18. Every campus we work with has maybe a different combination of requirements, but they all kind of follow the same pattern. I'm going to just expand my screen. Government issued ID, proof of internship. Now they're requiring proof of renter's insurance. Some of our campuses or our properties that we work with require health insurance, proof of health insurance. Some might require proof of their, that they're a student at the campus that they say that they're relocating from for the summer. And what I always tell folks, this is a young site. So if you sign on and you have a requirement that's not there, we can put it on the site for you. Frequently asked questions are then kind of tucked behind that button. I clicked it and expanded it. And you can maybe see why, because some folks like to put in a lot of information, which we encourage, and that would just really lengthen the page. But the most important part then here, excuse me, is the contact form. And this is something that is included with every package. However, you can link out to your own application form as well. And if I'm someone who's interested, I fill out all of this information. Most of it's required. The only thing that isn't is your ADA, if there's ADA assistance needed, but we capture the name, whether they're an individual or a group housing opportunity, emails, phone numbers, the organization that they'll be working with, what their dates of stay are. And again, these interns or the site users are really focused on the dates that you list. So they play by the rules whenever they see the information that's provided. The college or university that they're attending currently, and how they're paying for it, whether it's through themselves or for the company that they've secured the internship with. They hit submit and they get a confirmation page, an email, and that inquiry will be sent directly to you over email. So whether you or if you have some other folks on your team who might be managing this, you see that email come through and you pick up the phone or email them as soon as possible to answer questions and formally enter them into your application process. Again, if you use your own external application link, that's totally fine. We can include that. But with the form, at least, I can send you a report then at the end of the year, and you could say, oh, these 8 people booked housing. This definitely paid for itself. If you use your link, I can only send you stats on how many times that link was clicked. Some of our clients have built in a source of, where that click originated from, so they can actually say, oh, Intern Housing helped with that. Intern Housing Hub, helped with that. But that's really kind of the demo of the site and how a user would go about finding information and sharing that information. And hopefully it gave you a better understanding of what this page looks like, and it would help you envision how your information could exist here and how strong of a resource this is, knowing that you might not have a page dedicated to summer intern housing on your .edu that you can leverage through Intern Housing Hub. I know that my time here with you today is coming to a close here soon. I do just have a few more slides that I want to share. Okay, perfect. And I'm now going to talk a little bit about our impact, especially these past few years. So at the top here is a table of some key metrics, the number of clients we work with, how many site visits and page views that we have, applications generated. I should call that like inquiries submitted through that form that I just showed you. And then that last statistics is the number of times anyone that's using their own external link, how many times that link was engaged. So 2021 and 2022 are full year stats. And what you're seeing in 2023 is, for this part of the presentation, where we were at the end of October, and then what the year to date change was when comparing through October 31st for 2022. So we've seen growth in all key metrics, 57 clients and a 14% growth there, almost 150 page views, which is incredible. Especially considering in 2021, the whole year we had 35,000. That just blows my mind. I think we had 40,000 in the month of April this year. So it's really encouraging for us. And then these are all distinct inquiries that have been submitted. So 2,642 that came through our site, and then 9,267 total clicks to external links. And then below there is just a highlight of our site traffic sources as well. Where are our site users coming from? We do have Google ads that are running, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But what's most exciting to me is that organic visitors, so people finding us on Google, not through an ad and clicking on the link, or direct visitors, someone typing in internhousinghub.com, those two areas have really grown over the last several years, which is really encouraging for us. And I think it is a testament a little bit to our brand exposure and maybe some of the trust that people might have with our platform now in 2023. So this number, $27,896,400. So the number I showed previously for clicks, that was total clicks, but if you break it down by unique clicks, that number was closer to 6,200. So if we just kind of take a step back, we did the math, and granted, this is based on averages and assumptions, but let's say that all of our clients are charging their guests $45 a night, and those stays are for the maximum length of time, typically 10 weeks. That's the amount of revenue opportunity that flowed through internhousinghub.com last year. Taking again those 8,856 unique engagements and multiplying it by 70 nights at $45 a night. It's really an incredible number. Now, you might be thinking, am I going to convert every single inquiry that comes through? We don't really track that just because we're not a commission-based model or anything. We require the interns or our clients to report their successes. But we have a good idea that all it takes is 1 or 2 bookings to really cover the costs. And I can almost confidently guarantee that our clients are booking more than that on an annual basis. And I'll get into my reason why for that in just a few more slides. But this is the current picture of the clients that we work with. The gold pins indicate 5 properties in that city that we're working with. The purple pins, like the one that you might see in the top left corner in Seattle, that indicates 4 properties. Pink is 3 clients or 3 properties. Blue is 2 and green is 1. So this map is filled out and I love seeing it, but there's also a lot of open space. And like I said, whether you're in a large metro area or not, like Johnstown, Pennsylvania, it's so important to know your industry, because I truly believe that there's a great revenue opportunity here, but also a great opportunity for you to get some more heads in your beds and get some more engagement with your campus in the summer months if you're not fully selling out with your conference and events programming. I'll just zoom in here on the Mid-Atlantic and New England area because it kind of looks like a blob on the larger map, but you can see there Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Northern New Jersey, New York City, they're all really popular areas. The reason that I'm confident that our clients are not only meeting but exceeding their investment on our site is because we have a 93% retention rate last year, which is huge. It's incredible. Some of those cancellations were due to ROI. Some of those were for reasons outside of their success on the platform. Primarily, maybe our residence halls are offline for next summer, or we booked this huge group and we don't have space for these individual guests anymore. And this is something that we take a lot of pride in. Of course, I go sometimes the way my mind thinks is that return on investment, but I also like to think that we are, being the only service provider in this field, seen as experts and people that you can rely on to help you at any point throughout the search and booking season or after that. And we like to make ourselves available for any of those times that you might want to chat. The way that you can engage with Intern Housing Hub is shown here. We have a standard package and we have a premium package. Our prices do vary by our metro area, and we really designate that by the population of the city. But really the range at our entry-level package for our smaller metros, $2,200 for a year. So very reasonable. And looking at the premium package, if you're in a large city and you want the premium package, the top price there is $7,700 for a year. So there is a gap there, but again, it's really reflective of what that demand is going to look like, what you might be charging your summer guests. And I think, again, there's confidence that that's something that you can easily achieve through using our platform. The standard package gives you the profile on our site and access to that Intern Housing Hub inquiry form, which I showed you, or the ability to link out to your own form. And then we set aside a certain percent of what you spend with us to put towards a Google ad campaign that we build and run for you to just give you that extra boost to get in front of the relevant audience that's going to be making the decision to stay on your campus. The premium package, the upgrade there is that you get to own the top spot on the metro area that you're in. And because it's the same percentage that we set aside for your Google ad spend, but when you're spending more money, that percentage spend gets larger. So it would provide you with a more competitive ad spend that will last longer, and allow you to maybe, own one of the top 2 ad spots through that. And I always just, encourage folks that the premium package, you might be thinking, well, why are there 2? The premium package is really best suited for properties that have maybe aggressive and large goals, and or you're in a competitive market and you want to be seen just a little bit easier. And I'm happy that if you want to reach out to me and get a quote or pricing or data specifically for your campus and where you exist, I can certainly do that for you. And if that's not all convincing enough, this is my favorite slide here. With Google's new generative AI, we were just kind of searching and seeing how they're picking up our resource. And when I searched, how do you book summer intern housing? This was literally one of the results that popped up at the very top of the page. It says use internhousinghub.com, which really kind of blew us away. But it again speaks to our authoritative place in this industry with the content that we have, and again the site traffic to the web page. So if Google is saying it, of course it has to be something that's true. And I hope that we have the opportunity to work with you. It's really a great opportunity. I truly, really do believe in this product. I absorbed it whenever I joined the team in January 2020. I've helped it grow since, and really excited for what the future holds. Again, I'm Corey Salem, Intern Housing Hub and Unique Venues. My email address is corey@uniquevenues.com, and that's my phone number there for when I'm back in the office if you want to get on the call. But that's what I have to present today. And I guess there might be some questions, there might not, but I really appreciate you taking time to join us.
Well, thank you, Corey. Honestly, I was writing questions as you're going along, and then like 2 slides later, you answered my question.
Great.
But yeah, no, I mean, I was, one of the things I was asking about is, what are you doing to help promote these campuses? And so, obviously you're doing the Google ads and, and all that. So that, but really, I think you should be very proud of the 93% retention rate.
Yes.
Because overseeing membership, if I was
Mhm.
at a 93% retention rate, I'd be doing cartwheels right now. So that is very impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, we're really proud of that.
7% variance there, yeah, there's always something that's out of your hands. So I'm very amazed with this. And also, as I was saying earlier, before we got into this, that, if you are responsible now for these much larger budget or revenue expectations, this may be something that can help you fill some of that up. So definitely reach out to Corey, because you will also be in Providence as well.
Of course. Yeah, we'll be there. We're excited to be there. And I just want to highlight, I talked a lot about Google today, and because we see that as a decision-making platform, to take intern housing out of the equation. If I want to buy a vacuum, I will Google the best vacuum, for maybe the type of carpet or hardwood that I have. And that's why we invest so heavily into that positioning. And Google ads are really an important part of that. But we appear highly on the search results pages, within the top 3 results, depending on the metro area. And you might be, Google Baltimore intern housing now, or Washington, D.C. Google will give us a boost kind of in that February time period, just because there's more demand there and they're pulling up more relevant pages at that time. So that's really our main focus with that.
Yeah. No, it certainly has. No, it's very effective. Google ads are effective for sure.
Really enjoy it. Sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, I didn't see any questions. Like I said, I had questions, but then you answered them.
Right.
It was probably the same for a lot of other folks. So I want to say thank you. And then for everyone else, we will convene again at 11:35 Pacific time.